So for the write on effect, I'm going to show you a couple of ways. The first one is the actual effect, which is called write on. For that, let's create a new text document. So I can just simply go to the text tool and write something here. Text. Okay. So the last thing that we have used, I need to change that. So let's make it whatever it is. And the font, let's change it to something calligraphic type. Let's say this one. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the effect called write on. And it's under the generate menu. So if I apply that effect, you can see that we have this little dot, which this is actually white little dot, and we can actually expand the uh, this is actually a brush, and we can actually expand the size of the brush like this. And this is the position value of this brush. We can change the position from here or from just by clicking this on this uh, handle. So I have applied this effect on top of the existing text layer. So it could be a text layer, it could be something you have imported from after Photoshop or any other software. So the same way it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add keyframe on the position value of the brush, which is this one. So let's create the first keyframe, and I'm going to just do a very little bit of part of these things in animation. I'm going to create the second keyframe here, and then in between I'm just going to match the in between values. So maybe here it will be somewhere here, and I need to change the thickness, the cover on the entire area. And if I hit U, then I can see all the keyframes. And I'm going to move again. Okay, this is quite fast, but this is gonna work fine for me. And let's say here I'm going to create the keyframe, and after that I'm going to jump to this position. Now the thing is, if I jump to this position, it's going to actually reveal this area too. So that's why I'm going to let's say I'm going to, in this frame I need to be here. So in previous frames I will just go somewhere here. Actually this is a little bit tricky. I can change the brush width, but I'm not going to do that much detailed example right now. So let's just directly go to this keyframe, and from here let's start covering this area. Let's go to the end, and maybe here So as you can see, the distribution of the keyframes are not obviously right. Here we want a little bit fast movement, but we want some smooth movement in this lines. So for that, what I'm going to do is, this is where this part of the animation starts, from this keyframe, this frame. So I'm going to go to page up. So I'm going to do another from here to this position. Actually, I'm going to select this entire keyframe and right click, and as I've shown you earlier, row across time, it will distribute all the keyframes and create a smooth motion for us. You can see, and from here also, actually I have to leave. No, it's alright. So from here I'm going to create another row across time, so it will create a smooth motion for us. Row across time, you can select a range of keyframes or the entire keyframe, and if you right click on it, then you have this option, row across time. It will actually create a smooth motion. It will redistribute all the keyframes to get a smooth keyframe, the smooth motion. Okay, so yes. करेगा तो ये बात पहले मैं डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन में दिखाया भी था, तो अगर ज़रूरत पड़े तो वो सब फाइल्स फिर चेक कर लेना और क्या क्या था. सो अभी क्या है, देखो, वी हैव फ्यू ऑप्शंस हियर. नाउ वेरी बेसिक थिंग्स विच इज़ द हार्डनेस and opacity and stroke length, and I don't know what it is. Stroke length I can cut down. Okay, this is basically the end keyframe and that kind of thing. And brush spacing, you can increase or decrease the spacing if you need. And let's decrease it. Okay, let's increase it. Anyway, you can change the, I don't know what this option is. I haven't used it. You can change the brush color if you need to. If you are creating certain type of thing where you need to change the brush color, you can do it. And brush properties, I don't know what it is. And the actual options that we are going to need, which is this paint style option. Now by default it's on original image, so it's showing the brush stroke. You can change it to on transparent, so it will become everything else rather than this brush stroke is going to become transparent. And the last option there is, which is the reveal original. That means if I click here, only the places that brush is going, that part is revealing. So this is not a right example. You can see all these small areas that have been covered, have not been covered properly. This way you can actually do the write on effect on any text layer or anything like that. And let's actually see what are the other ways you can do it. So in this time I'm going to create another new text layer. Let's turn it off and create another text layer. And this time I'm going to choose another font because it's a little bit difficult to do faster. So let's use this one. Okay, and another thing is, we have this alignment tool options. If I need, then I can just select the layer and I can align in the center horizontally and vertically like this. So The second process is just create a mask on top of this layer. So I'm going to create a mask like this. You know, I'm just creating the mask path, but I'm not going to create any uh, complete mask shape because we don't need that. We only need this path. So this line is already going to be revealed. So when you are gonna reach this here, so I can go back like this, or I can simply go like this right now. Okay, so once I've done that, what I'm going to do is going to select the selection tool, and I'm going to apply this effect called stroke. And if I apply that, then we are going to get those options again. Now I'm just turning off the mask visibility option, and then I'm going to increase the stroke to cover up the entire area. And in case if we need some more information, I can anytime change the stroke like this. So maybe I will add another point here. No, I need a little bit more thickness, that's all. So now what we can do is, again, you can animate the start and the end point. If I just go to the end, and which is 100% right now, I can create a key there, and in the end I'm going to make it 0. That means it will be like this. I need the opposite thing completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just switch this, the position of this two keyframe. The first keyframe should be at the end, and the last keyframe should be here at first. So now it's going to grow like this, and if I need a smooth transition between these two keyframes, I can just simply add ease by pressing F9, which is going to add easy ease. That means it will be slower at first and the slower at the end. So okay, so maybe I will just make it a little bit fast, and then again we have all those same options, and from here I'm going to choose reveal original. Now as you can see, all these areas are showing. So for that, we have to key the thickness option. So let's say when this brush stroke is going to be here, so let's show the original image, and here I'm going to create a key for the brush size, and again I'm going to create brush size, same key I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to create a key here, and in this in between area I'm going to decrease the thickness of the brush. Overall, yeah, you cannot change it like that. So if you want that kind of perfection, what you have to do now, that is no, that's just going to create another point, control point of the shape. For overall, no, the thing is, it's revealing the area. So the problem is if I, hmm, that portion only we have the problem. So if I decrease, it will do a little bit fix. like if I decrease here, the problem is it will like this, it's also going to choke these areas. So this is not really a good fix, and this issue you are going to face a lot of time. For that, what you need to do is a little bit problematic. You have to make a render of this white line, and in this on transparent mode, then you will get you can create a image sequence render of this thing, why this white line is going to grow, and from you can take this render in after in Photoshop or After Effects. You can actually by pre-compositing this thing and creating some mask over it, we can actually fix it. But that's a little bit advanced and tricky process. When you are going to face this kind of thing, I will show you the fix. So I'm not going to go to those areas, and but yes, you can fix it. Or let's say you have done this entire thing like this, and now you have some this information that you don't want, so all you can do is hit Control Shift C to create to move all attribute and create a keyframe, and here you can actually mask out these areas, and also I can create a keyframe on the path, so it will only going to affect this area. Okay, so these fixes are there. If you are not getting this result properly, that can be done. So anyway, so this is another way to do it, and you can see this problem because of the thickness. And with the paintbrush tool, hopefully you will get a better result, because let's hit Control D to duplicate this layer, and here I am going to delete this stroke effect, and on top of this text I am going to apply the brush tool. So I'm going to select the brush tool, and I need to double click to get let's delete close all the other this thing, and let's hit M, and let's delete the mask also. Now if I hit double click then it is going to give us this option for the text. Okay, can I apply brush stroke in it? I cannot, because it's a text layer. What I can do is I can hit Control Shift Z, Control Shift C to move all attribute and create a precom, and now if I hit brush stroke, then it's going to become a simple simple layer. Then I can use the brush effect on it, the paint effect, and now I can choose this brush and paint over it, and let's increase the diameter. And the thing is, I can I don't want to do it frame by frame, so for the brush paint tool, few options are there that you need to check. Is this is a constant duration, so that means this stroke is going to stay for the end of the duration of this layer, and once you create a brush stroke, this brush paint effect is going to create automatically for you. And if you expand the effects from the layer panel, then you can see that these options are there. From there, brush 1, that's actually creating different brush strokes for you. And if you expand these options, you can see that even there you have this option, which is brush path, and you can key them. Actually you can key them like this. I have shown you this thing last day, so this is what you can do. So that means actually what we can do, just I've got this idea right now. So what I can do, I can create something like this. Sorry, let's increase the brush diameter. I can create something like this, and create a keyframe in brush path, and also in the stroke option you get all those same parameters that you get in stroke effect. And let's come here, and I can just simply draw this brush stroke like this. Now I have control over this thing, though it's not filling some of the areas, but now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another brush stroke. So it will going to create in betweens for us also. This is one thing you can do, and obviously you can create like this multiple brush stroke like this. So I'm just going to deselect this selection mask path and create another brush stroke, and it will stay for the entire duration because by default this constant option is turned on. You can right on, I'm coming to that, you can choose single frame or custom frames. So if I select custom frame, I can, let's say I want a paint brush to stay for 2 frames, or let's say 5 frame. So now this stroke is going to stay for 5 frames. Okay, and the same thing for a single frame and all this thing. So actually we can manipulate this range value from here. So after selecting this brush stroke, I can decrease the duration from here also. So if I need a quick fix, like I want this thing to cover for only 1 frame, that can happen, or for the entire thing, that can also happen. So this is how another way you can grow your brush stroke if you want. Or now at the end, if on nothing is working for you, then you have this right on effect, and let's select the so if you turn on this right on and then create a brush stroke like this, let's increase the diameter a little bit. So now I can create this thing like this. So if I hit U, then you can see for the start and the end, it have been created a keyframe for us, and it's going to end at the end of our animation. It's not at the end of our animation, it's extending somewhere outside of the duration. To get that, I'm going to move this keyframe, then select this end parameter. That means it's going to select all the keyframes for this option, which is not even showing here. I'm going to select the entire thing, and now this thing is going to come here. So that's how I can manipulate the range, and you can see I've fixed this area. So I'm going to create a new, once this thing is done. So let's say here, from the next keyframe, I'm going to create a new brush stroke, and I can simply draw a brush stroke like this. So let's see how it's going to be. And again, I'm going to hit U and select both of the keyframes and move them. Again, select this keyframe, select both of the keyframes and move again, and select this keyframe and to move it here. Okay, and once you do that, then what we can do is, I'm going to, actually I needed to do it in a separate layer, but I haven't done that, but I can do it later on like this. I can just duplicate this layer, and from the first layer I'm going to delete this paint effect. Okay, and from the second layer I'm going to turn on this, just solo this layer, I'm going to turn on this on transparent option. That means only this particular painted area is going to show. Now there is some option which is called matte layer option that I haven't covered yet, but I'm going to come to that later on. and if I turn that option on for alpha matte, then what is going to happen is it's going to grow only those areas. Okay, it is showing the other thing because this one is turned on. Okay, so for the write on effect we have multiple options that we can use, whichever suits you. And another thing is this issue, let me just turn off